All right, part two, we're going to talk about the concept of domain and range of a function. All right, so if we're talking about the domain and range of a function, here's what domain is. Domain is the set of possible inputs of a function. All right, so it's basically saying what are the possible things that could be inputted into this function. Okay, range is the set of possible outputs of a function. In other words, what are the possible things that could come out of this function? Okay, and for this example, again, we're using this definition of f, g, and h, these functions, and we're going to be restricted to the data in this table. Okay, so based on this table, what are the possible inputs? What are the possible outputs? Okay, I'm going to do some, and then you're going to do some on your own. All right, 10. What is the domain of the function f of x? Okay, well, so domain is the possible inputs of the function. Well, remember, f was a function that takes in student ID numbers. Okay, so the inputs, the possible inputs, what are the possible things that we could have inputted, right? We could have inputted 15, 27, 36, 47, or 56. Those are the possible things that we could have inputted into f of x, right? So that would be our domain. We would just list those values: 15, 27, 36, 47, and 56. Those are the possible inputs. Okay? The range is, again, the set of possible outputs. So what could possibly have come out of our function, f? Right? Well, for f, the outputs are the students' names. So what could possibly have come out of f? Right? Well, these are the names that could possibly have come out: Abby, Bobby, Casey, Danny, or Ellie. So the range of f of x, that would be exactly that, right? Abby, Bobby, Casey, Danny, and Ellie. Right? These brackets just show you this is the set. Okay? All right, I want you to pause and see if you can fill out the rest. Okay? You're going to figure out the domain for g of x and the range of g of x, and same thing for h of x, the domain of h of x and the range of h of x. Okay? Domain, again, is the set of possible inputs. Range is the set of possible outputs. So pause and do that. All right, welcome back. Let's check, see if you got it. All right, the domain of g of x. Okay, g of x is, remember, g was the function that takes in the student ID numbers. All right, so the possible things that we could have put in, it's the same thing as the different student ID numbers. We could have put in 15, 27, 36, 47, 56. Right? Those are the possible things that could have been put into g. Right? 13, what's the range of g of x? What are the different outputs that could have come out? Okay? Well, g of x, remember, the outputs are the grade percentages. So what are the things that could have possibly come out? Right? Are the grade percentages up here. Okay? And I know I didn't say this to you earlier, but I'm going to list these in order from smallest to largest, just to keep this organized. So what could have possibly come out of g of x? Is 54%. What's the next one? 72%, 86%, 92%, and 96%. Right? Those are the possible percentages that could have come out of g of x. All right, last one. What's the domain of h of x? Okay, h of x is a function that takes in students' names. So the possible things that could have gone into our h of x function, right, are our student names. It could have been Abby, Bobby, Casey, Danny, or Ellie. Right? Those are the things that we could have possibly put into h. Well, what could have come out of h? What's the range? You could have gotten out an A, a B, a C, or an F. Or you probably noticed that I skipped D. Well, that's because if we're using this data, right, there's no one that has a D. We have a B, a C, an A, an F, and an A. So if we're using this data, no one has a D, so it's impossible for h of x to have outputted a D. Okay? Well, and of course it would have been different if we were using different data. But if we're restricting this function to this data, well then it's only going to output either an A, B, C, or an F, because that's what is in our data here.